and happy Easter. Hi, and welcome back to the Crochet Chain podcast. It's podcast number 3 for my mystery shawl crochet along. And I decided today that maybe, you see, in between last time and this time, I went, oh, look, oh, it's fallen over. In between last time and this time, I have been to Edinburgh. For a particular reason. It was the Edinburgh Yarn Fest. Now, I went with the intention of just getting a sweater's worth of yarn for a new exciting project for the new year in 2019. I know it seems a long way away, but you know, you have to plan these things. So, I think well, I think I may have overdone it. So this is my haul from Edinburgh Yarn Fest. Look at some of the Leon pops and some speckles and fades and all sorts of yummy, scrummy stuff. I was going to say if I have time this podcast, I don't think I'll have time this podcast. I'm going to do a podcast devoted only to the gorgeousness that is in here, so that I can give it enough time and enough space so I can talk about all of the yarn, which was just gorgeous. But it wasn't just the yarn at Edinburgh. Edinburgh was amazing. It was a real meeting place, and it seemed more international than a lot of yarn festivals, even London ones. I think the proximity of the airport to Edinburgh itself and to the Yarn Festival meant that it was like a melting pot. There was just loads of people. You could hear lots of different languages going on. It was absolutely fascinating. Loads of people. It seemed to be the place to be. So everybody was meeting everybody else. I met quite a few people. I met Nathan again, and he showed me a project bag, which I will talk about in the Edinburgh exclusive podcast. And I met Stephen West, and I met the Crochet Cakes ladies, the mum and daughter, or daughter who does the podcast, plus her mum, who's also in the podcast. If you haven't found Crochet Cakes, they're lovely ladies, absolutely lovely, and it's definitely worth having a little glimpse of what they're doing over there. Anyway, little sip of my drink from the mug of motivation. And calm. So, mystery shawl number 3. Mystery shawl number 3. Now, I have worn one of these shawls because it was the first shawl that I designed in this series, but it's the third shawl because it's not as easy as the other ones. So the other 2 shawls we've done in one piece. First one was 1 skein, second one was 2 skeins, and this one is a 2-3 skeiner. And I will explain what I mean by a 2-3 skeiner in a moment. So this was actually the first one I did, and it was very much inspired by Stephen West and his knitted shawls and how he mixes colour. And I love colour. You may have noticed, I love colour. Oh, somebody commented on the blanket behind me. This blanket is, I'll just lean out of the way. Ooh, can I lean right out of the way? Anyway, this blanket here that I've put up to cover a completely blank wall is made in Drops Delight and Drops Fable in the middle. So these colours here, there's I did it one for a show. I did Alexandra Palace, and I was selling a lot of Drops yarn at the time, and so I did this as kind of a sampler blanket. So it's got sections of 9 squares, and you can see let me turn around a bit. So you can see this is a section with the green, this is a section with blue, this one is one of the brighter coloured ones here, this is a more muted section here, and it's kind of 12 blocks of 9 squares. I can't show you the whole lot because that would mean that I'd have to move things around and stuff, but it's pattern number, I think it's 1241. So if you look in book number 124 on the Drops website, you will find this blanket there. It says, I think it's 124, pretty certain it's 1241. And so I used 12 balls of Delight in different colours. Obviously, if you're making it, you can choose, say, to just do all the greens, or you can choose to do all the colours, or you can do all the blues or the muted. You can mix it up a bit. Mine was designed as a sampler type blanket to show what you could do. Now, looks nice and vintage, doesn't it? So this colour that joins all the squares together, that colour, that was cream. And then I machine washed it. I chucked it in the machine. I think that sock wool, which is what Delight is, should be machine washable. You're not going to be hand washing your socks and blocking your socks all the time. So I think it should be, particularly a commercial one, should be hand washable. So it should be machine washable rather. So I chucked it in the machine, and the cream went this grey colour. Now, I got lots and lots. I liked it when it was cream, but actually I prefer it this muted grey colour. It's very even all over, so it was kind of a happy accident. Everybody was saying, I love that colour. Where did you get that colour that joins them all together? And I had to say, well, it's cream, and I chucked it in the washing machine, and it was kind of a mistake, but it's a happy mistake. So that's what happens sometimes, isn't it? We have these happy mistakes that come out and look just lovely. So this is very vintage looking, but without being vintage. And that's the best way to do things, isn't it? Right, so let's get on to the shawls. I'm really excited about this one. So the working title for this shawl was Friendship Shawl, and there was a reason for that. It's made up of 2-3 skeins. I said this 2-3 skein thing going on. So the first shawl that I made with this is, and it's all done in Easy Knits yarn. I have a little note of the colours down here, except that this colourway doesn't have a name. So the pink to yellow, look at all that orangey, gorgeousness. Pink to yellow to green is one sushi roll. Now it's a single colour change sushi roll, and so that means that it just changes once. It's one strand in the sock bag. So you get, it's like a strip of knitted fabric, which you then kind of pull off and wind into a cake, and then crochet from it there. Some people skein it up and wash it before they use it. I just used it straight from the sock, from the cake that I'd made from the sock blank. And it's a single repeat. So you start it with one thread right from the beginning all the way to the end, and it gradually changes colour. So this one changes colour gradually from the pink, and I actually quite like that. Can you see there's some little subtle kettling going on there, which I really like. And so it goes from the pink, and then it goes gradually into the orange there, which then goes into this amazingly bright yellow, which then transitions through that sort of mottly green bit to a bright green. And this is an asymmetric triangle, which has increases on every row on one side, and then a decrease every other row on the other side. So you're increasing once every 2 rows, effectively. But it gives it a bias. Can you see how the rows are kind of going at a slight angle? That's giving it a bias, so that it just makes it a bit more interesting, and actually it makes the draping better. So when fabrics are on the bias, they drape better. Can you see how it's nice curvy draping? It's also got some eyelet holes. We start with 1 set of eyelets and then go to 2 and to 3 to 4 and to 5 sets of eyelets. Now this sushi roll has 420 meters, so I would advise very highly, because we had a bit of an issue with the test one of running out of yarn. So make sure please that your gauge is the same or slightly less than the gauge that I've put on the sheet, which is 11 rows and 22 trebles. So if you get even 23 trebles, I would go down a hook, just because I wouldn't want you to run out of yarn, particularly on a sushi roll, because you can't really add a little extra. And the stitch count at this end is quite important so that the bobbles work. Okay, so we've got this asymmetric triangle in the middle, and then we have two borders, and the first border is this purpley bobbly border, which is rather lovely. Every time I've worn this, the thing that people seem to comment on is this bobbly border. So there are more bobbles in the future. Just letting you know, there's going to be some more bobbles in future shawls. And then on this side we have a ripple. This is a ripple of my own invention. I used a very similar ripple on a design that I did for Women's Weekly. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar, and it kind of grows towards the outside edge. So it starts with one type of ripple with trebles and a single chain, and then towards the end we've got some double trebles and some 2 chain holes in there. That's all in the pattern, don't worry. I'm just trying to explain that it does change slightly as you get to the edge, but that's the last bit that you do. And at this pointed end, and this designerly, I like this, is the fact that I've managed to get this edge to be straight. So even though it's a ripple inside, you can see the ripple forming there, it actually forms this lovely point on this end of the shawl that matches the bottom end there. So it's quite straight up until here, and then it kind of goes whee, and then it starts going wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay, wiggle, 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 wiggle. So this is a single sushi roll, and I said 2 or 3 skeins because the borders, the purple border here, the purple border which is called Queenie, the purple border is Queenie, Deeply Wicked Queenie, takes 1/3 of a ball, and then the ripple here along this edge of the shawl takes 2/3 of a ball, and this is just come in and knocking things over. So it's 1/3 of a ball and 2/3 of a ball for the 2 borders. So you have 2/3 of a ball and 1/3 of a ball left over. What do you do with that? Well, it's quite a lot of yarn. So I thought, well, what about making a matching shawl? Matching, but with the borders the opposite way round. And so it's called a friendship shawl because you can make one for yourself with the sushi roll and the 2, and then one for a friend, and you would be matching but not matching. So the second one that I did has what was the ripple border on this one in Aquilian is now the bobble border, and the purple, which is Queenie, Deeply Wicked Queenie, is now the ripple. And in between, you just caught a glimpse of the pink, is, and this is a gorgeous, I love this colourway, it's pink and blue and purple, which are like my 3, other than having like a sea green, tealy seal sea green is the other favourite colour. This is like my favourite colours, pink to purple to blue. Now you will notice that it changes then back from blue to purple and back to pink. So this one is a double repeat sushi roll. So instead of 1 strand in your sock blank, which is just that knitted strip, you have 2 strands dyed the same colour, and so in the middle you have to have a join. So in the middle of this is a join where it goes, so that side's going to the purple there, that side's going to the purple there, so somewhere in the middle here there is a join. Do you know what? I can't even see it. That's really good. So I say so myself. I can't even see the join. So it joins so that you work from one end to the middle and then from the middle to the other end. Does that make sense? I'm not sure it does. Anyway, it's 2 strands. So you start at pink, go to blue, and then go back to pink. And then, of course, we've got this lovely Aquilian on this side and Queenie purple ripple border on the bottom. And you can see quite clearly on that one how it dips out, how the ripple extends as you get further out. So that's those two. I do apologise, actually I've still got my markers in there. This is what I use for my row stitch markers, is for when I'm marking rows. They're very light, so they don't actually drag anything on the crochet down. They're like knitting, they're called wireless safety pins. Can't be wireless because it's a wire. They are coilless. Tripping over my words today. Coilless safety pins. So just like a safety pin at the top here, like that, you just undo them like you would a safety pin, like that. Oh, can you see, is it focusing? Okay, it's decided not. There. Oh, no, it's not focusing. Okay, it's like a little safety pin. If I put it over there, it might do it. There we go. So it's like a little safety pin, but without a coil on it. And you just do that. And they're nice and light, so they don't drag the wool down, don't drag your stitches or anything. And they're just nice for marking your row numbers. So it makes it easier when you're counting. To count in tens, for instance, mark every 10 or 20 rows, just to make it easier to count. Okay, so this is shawl number 3, and this is the second version. So this is the one with the Killer Queen. So this is why it started off being called the Friendship Shawl. But it's actually called Scoujack because I made some wonderful friends in Cornwall at Skewjack Surf Village. And Skewjack Surf Village is this lovely place. Well, it used to be. It's not there anymore. It's a lovely surf village near Sennan Cove. And it's down the end of Cornwall that I absolutely love. And you can see this one, you can coil it around lots of times. You can see the texture. You've got your bubbles there. You've got your ripple. You've got your little eyelets in there as well. So it's quite a versatile, quite a narrowish shawl, but it's quite versatile. It's lovely to wear. It's going quite well with my jumper today. I might keep this one on. Oh no, I can't keep this one on because I've got the pins in it. Okay, so Scoujack. Let's talk about Scoujack. I was at Scoujack in the 80s, 85 and 86, when I was in my early 20s, and it was an amazing place, full of young people. We had loads of fun. I worked there first of all in the shop and then as a receptionist. I had a great gang of friends down there, and it's when I kind of discovered Cornwall as being my favourite place, I think. Anyway, so this is a Scoujack scarf. Now I did say it was 2 or 3 skeins, so I thought I'd better test whether that was going to work. So again, John's Easy Knits. I don't know if I said that before. John of Easy Knits. Why am I out of focus? No, don't go out of focus. Hey, I'm back in focus. Right, so here we have, I know, isn't it bright? Woohoo! Okay, so this one has been done in 2 skeins of Easy Knits, and just hang on 1 second because my notes fell to the floor. And it's Deeply Wicked, and this is called Zippy, as in rainbow, not as in zips, but as in rainbow, as in the kids' television program. So if you're of a certain age, which I definitely am, Zippy, Rainbow, who's the other? Oh gosh, I can't remember now. Can't remember the other characters. Bungo, Zippy. What was the hippo's name? Maybe one of you can tell me if you've got through this far without getting bored. Okay, so this bit, this here is Zippy, and it's lovely, bright, zingy rainbow colours. Now, I don't normally like this sort of colourway because I don't like the pooling, but actually on this one, I'm really fascinated by how the colours have pulled together in some places. And it's sort of every 2 rows, and then it's not, and then it changes. And I think because it changes quite a lot, I think that's why I don't mind it so much. But it is really well out there colour-wise. It's just an amazing colour. Anyway, to match that, I used a second skein, which is this lovely deep blue. Remind you of anything? and think sci-fi, geeky. Well, this is called Bigger on the Inside, named after Doctor Who and the TARDIS. And this blue is just a lovely colour and really actually sets off the brightness of the rainbow colours, and there's a bit of blue in there, so it kind of matches really well. So we've got a blue border and another blue border. So we've got the blue bobble border and then a blue ripple border, and this was just to prove that we could make it in 2 skeins. So you don't have to have 3 skeins, you can make it in 2 skeins. And of course you don't have to have these wonderful zingy bright colourways, although you might fancy them. John has told me that he's going to give you a discount. If you've bought the shawl crochet along, the discount will be on the pattern. The discount will be on the pattern. Okay, he's offering us a 10% discount. So if you join up, you can get a discount on John's yarns. Woo! I love John. Easy knits. Oh, the colours, they're amazing. I just love all of those colours. Anyway, what you do have to be careful of is that you get gauge, because at one point we were going to run out of this yarn, this one, Zippy. And so we had to go back and redo it in a slightly smaller hook. So make sure that your gauge, 11 rows, 22 treble crochets, is on spec, or that you are getting more. If you've got 12 rows, then that's fine. If you get 10 rows or 20 triple crochets, then you will want to go down hook. Please, I don't want you to run out of yarn. Okay, the other thing to make sure is maybe if you have 420 meters, then you will not run out of yarn. But I'm going to just show you something in a second. I've just put it over there. 1 second. Ooh. So that is how much we had left over of the border colour. So that's plenty. That's fine. No worries there. However, I almost don't want to show you this. That's how much we had left of the Zippy. Okay, that's not much. That's why you have to try and hit gauge or get below gauge. It won't make much difference to the size of the shawl. Not a significant difference. It's quite a long shawl, so it won't make a significant difference. But when you're doing your border here, you want to have the right amount of stitches so that you get this nice bobbly edge on each side that matches mathematically beautifully on there. So in order to get that lovely border, you need to make sure that you're going to get all the way to the end, and that is your warning. That is your warning there. Not much left from the skein of Zippy, Deeply Wicked Zippy. Of course, if you use a different yarn and you've got more than 420 meters, yay, you shouldn't have a problem. Shouldn't have a problem. But here we go. So this is lovely. And actually, I quite like this. I mean, it doesn't really go with my purple top today. Not as well as the Killer Queen one did. But actually, it's just lovely and bright and zingy. And if you love colour, like I do, then it's a nice pop on what really has been quite a dreary spring so far. Anyway, I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek of something. So I've been working with Ange of Gamer Crafting and with Rosie's Moments. And for shawl number 6, there will be 2 versions. One of which, and I'm only going to give you a teeny weeny sneak peek, one of which is going to have this lusciousness from Gamer Crafting. Oh, that's not in focus. Okay. Actually looks very similar in colour. I apologise, it's very similar in colour. Slightly more pastel-y, but still bright colours. Okay. And just there's kind of some... Oh, did I show you that? Did I show you that? Didn't show you that. No. There's sort of lots of little other colours going on. Lots of other colours. Oh, but you didn't see those. No, you didn't see those. And so one of the versions of shawl number 6 will be using that yarn, which has been specially dyed for me by Gamer Crafting, Ange. I love you, Ange. Hi Ange, I love you. That is just amazing. I can't wait to get going with that one. And then I've got a second colourway, and this has been dyed for me by Rosie of Rosie's Moments. I'm going to put links to both of these ladies in the bio, in the thingamabob down there. Oh, did I just show you something? Oh, and the two colourways that Rosie has done for me, which once the shawl's released, I'm hoping we're going to be able to get a little oh, did you see that? Two of my favourite colours, teal and purple, and I'm sure you can see that there's a bit of sparkle in there. Oh, that's exciting. Really, really exciting. So there's two really, really exciting colourways to come for shawl number 6. But that's still a few months away. We've got 2 more in between, just so that you know that I'm planning all these ahead of time. And so this is mystery shawl number 3. I hope you enjoy it. It's called Scoujack, and it's just a lot of fun to make. I didn't tell you, Faye, who did this wonderful test shawl for me, Faye, bless her, who had to undo it all because we were got to row 95. We had to undo it all because she was going to run out of yarn. So, but she enjoyed it so much that she's making her own version. She's making another version. So I look forward to that, Faye. And in the meantime, here's shawl number 3. Happy crocheting, and I hope to see you next time. Don't forget, I'm going to do an additional podcast on Edinburgh Yarn Show just to show you a few of my plans for the future that might be mixed up in there. Anyway, see ya. Happy crocheting. Don't forget, get hooked.